What's up, Magical Misfits? Drew here, and today I am going to be making an oil lamp. But before we get into that, I have a little channel announcement. So my channel is monetized. Now, many of you will know that I was not really on board with monetization. I was definitely opposed to it, but I think it was last year YouTube made a policy that essentially they could put ads on any video that they chose as long as it met the requirements for advertising and monetization. And lo and behold, YouTube decided to start putting ads on my videos. And I had told myself if this happened, I would monetize, because the way I feel about it basically is I don't really want ads on my videos, but if you're going to put them there anyway, then yes, please pay me. Obviously, I don't expect to make a lot of money off of it at all, but it's kind of the principle of the thing. So my channel is now monetized. I do want to genuinely, wholeheartedly thank all of you, my viewers and subscribers. Anytime I have mentioned the issue of monetization, have been nothing but supportive and encouraged me to monetize. So that made it that much easier for me to just step into it when I did it. I went through and spent a full day going through my backlog of videos and choosing which ones I wanted to monetize. There are several videos that I did not monetize for various reasons, but that doesn't mean that YouTube won't decide to stick an ad on them anyway because they feel like it. So there you go. Anyway, I did want to address it. Yes, I have monetized my channel. All right, let's talk about why we're really here. So first, before I get into it, I kind of want to give a little shout out to Azreal, Angel of Melancholy. I will leave a link and maybe an end card. Quite some time ago now, he made a video where he made a magical oil lamp. And I thought it was wonderful. I was really inspired. And at the time, I thought I would make a prosperity lamp. And that just didn't really happen. And I kind of filed that in the back and went on with my own practice and the things going on in my life. But I started feeling really called to begin a scrying practice, which I've talked about a little bit on my channel before. When I did my little yearly haul, I showed the scrying bowl I got. And after that, I started to do more research into ancient Egyptian magician priest methods of scrying and divination. I want my practice to kind of echo that ancient established practice. So first and foremost, I of course am not an expert, especially when anything that I'm going to be talking about in this video. I am a novice to all this. I am learning. I just really, for myself, wanted a baseline, a place to start and have a respectful, structured divination practice that kind of echoed what had already been, like I said, definitely influenced by, but that works for me and works for my lifestyle and what have you, my resources, so on and so forth. And I feel like I've gotten that. Having said that, all that I've looked at thus far makes it look like I think you could use different methods for different outcomes. I don't know how else to word that. Like, you specifically are looking for specific answers to specific questions. For example, there might be a variance in the way that you went about that, but there are definitely what I would call threads running through all the methods that I've read about thus far. There are some baseline, some permanent fixtures in each one. And I kind of gravitated to those permanent fixtures as, at least initially, I want my practice to just be a general practice. Like I'm not sitting down asking for specific messages or answers or what have you. It's just open. Whatever's going to come is going to come. I just want to sit down and practice divination without any specific goals in mind. So an example, one of those threads that kind of runs through are bricks. Fresh bricks were important in the practice of divination, of scrying, where ancient Egyptian magician priests were concerned. Again, like one I've read about, they had 1 brick. Another one I read about, they had 7 bricks. I could easily get my hands on a brick, but I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to be using this tile as my brick. the place that I set up everything on to do my divination, to do the scrying. I just noticed that I'm crooked, and I apologize. I'm gonna fix it real quick. That's better. It still might be a little crooked, but anyway, this is a piece of tile that I've had forever. It's just some scrap tile. In the past, occasionally, very rarely, I have used it as sort of a backdrop for photography for the website and what have you, but it doesn't really have a purpose, and it's just always kind of hanging out in the studio. So I immediately thought of it with the whole brick thing. And so it is going to be my brick. I'm going to cleanse it and kind of consecrate it, dedicate it to this practice, and it'll be solely for that purpose moving forward. Another thing that's a common thread, obviously, is the vessel that you scry in, which I already have. The other thing that jumped out at me, well, it didn't immediately jump out at me, if I'm honest, was a lamp, an oil lamp. That was running, like all of the practices that are the procedures for practicing scrying that I've read about thus far mention an oil lamp. And at first I was like, do I really want an oil lamp? I'm going to be in my studio. It's not dark in here unless I do it at night, and I don't plan to do it at night because my house is more chaotic at night, even though nighttime would be an appropriate time to do it because it should be dark. But I can, I guess, drape something over my window, but I have made it so that this room is full of natural light all day long. I put like a film to make it look like frosted glass essentially over the window so that light can get in but nobody can see in. And so it's very bright in here. So I'm like, do I really need a lamp? But it only took a minute really for me to think back on that video that Azreal, Angel of Melancholy, had made. And it just clicked. And I'm like, yes, I want a lamp. I'm going to make a lamp that not only has oil, obviously, but elements in it that link it to my divination practice. So I have been waiting. I had to order a couple of the things for this project, and I've been waiting on one of them, and it came the other day, and I'm so excited because now I can make my lamp and start my practice. And I thought I'd share that with you guys. So I'm gonna make the lamp today, and I'll get it all set up so you can see what that's gonna look like, at least for the time being, because again, it'll probably evolve and change. I won't be scrying today, and even if I did, I wouldn't film that because how boring is that? At least the method that I'm going to be doing, and it requires silence and concentration, and so that wouldn't be interesting to watch. But yes, I wanted to share the process with you at least. I thought it would be fun to share at least the making of the lamp and what the setup will look like to start with you guys. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is the vessel that I'm going to be using to make my oil lamp. It is just an oil and vinegar dispenser container. This one in particular came from walmart.com. If they carry it in your local store and you want one, it'll only cost you like $2 something. I can't remember, a couple bucks. But they did not carry it in my store, so I had to order it online, and that was closer to $9. It was 8 something, but for me, totally worth it. I really wanted this. It's a nice size for what I want. Of course, the container, the vessel itself is glass, and then the top is a stainless steel, and it already has a hole. So it's all ready to go. I got this idea from another YouTuber. You can find so many videos on YouTube about making your own oil lamp. And I had seen this vessel and I really wanted one, so I got one. I want to draw a couple symbols on the sides. I don't want to put them on all 4 sides. I just want them on the sides as far as my perspective from when I'm burning it. I'm going to draw them in Sharpie to start. I may paint over the Sharpie, but I kind of like the idea that the Sharpie will be a bit more translucent. So I want to see how I feel about that first. So quickly, I'm going to do that. I'm going to use blue and red because they're colors that are significant to me personally with regards to my practice. So for now, they're very simplistic, and they'll probably stay pretty simplistic. But like I said, I may paint over them at some point. I just have to see how I feel about it. They are Egyptian symbols. Essentially, what I'm going for here is protection and the ability to communicate with otherworldly beings by the symbols that I've chosen. Here I have some average run-of-the-mill kitchen twine that will work as a wick. I also have candle wick because I make candles, but I'm going to use this. I have some peppercorns here. This is some rue that I've grown myself. Some shavings of sycamore. This is what I was waiting on other than the bottle itself. Saffron and blue lotus flower. Now, these are all ingredients that were, to my understanding, used regularly in ancient Egyptian healing and magic that I own and or purchased and feel comfortable, felt drawn to use for my oil lamp. So these are going to be the goodies that go inside my lamp. The sycamore is not one necessarily to be used in healing or magic. Actually, it's just wood, and wood was very sacred in ancient Egypt because it wasn't readily available. And sycamore in particular is sacred to several goddesses, including Aset. So I have some around and I felt called to put it in. The lotus is also not one that necessarily was used in magic and healing, but it has become very important in my personal practice with Ost. And definitely something that I feel called. It is also tied to intuition and psychic ability and things like that as well. So I feel really called to put it in, to include it in the lamp. So now I have all my little witchy bits in. Next, I want to add my oil. As I mentioned, I will be using a vegetable oil. You could use olive oil, all kinds of oils, including, of course, store-bought oil that is designed specifically for lamp fuel. I have not filled it quite to the top as I'm going to be using this regularly. I plan to scry once a week, but I just don't know how long it'll take to burn through. So, I mean, I did fill it pretty full, but I left the neck empty, and we'll see how that plays out in the future. But now I want to cut my wick to be at least twice as long as this bottle. I actually think I'm going to give it just a bit more than that for good measure. And I want to kind of soak the wick in the oil, so I want to put it into the lamp for sure. I am actually pulling the wick back out because I'm going to feed it in the other way. A little bit messy if you're not careful. That way the oil has soaked into the whole thing. Feed it through my little hole up here. Maybe. I'm trying. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna leave it sticking up about like that. I will show you from the side what this looks like, and then I'll light it and get it going. So here we have, well, that's the side. Here we have it. It's pretty simplistic and easy, but it is definitely what I'm going for. And now I want to light the wick. I imagine that there's not a ton of oil in my wick. So I think after it's had more time, to absorb more oil, I may have better result. Let's see what happens. Well, I am just not having much luck with this project. It's 2 days later and I've tried many things. Obviously, I tried to use vegetable oil. I used kitchen twine, then I moved to candle wick. I have soaked both the kitchen twine and the candle wick for at least 20 minutes each in the oil before trying to light. I just could not get the oil to work at all. So cleaned out the vessel, redid the whole thing. I added a rose in because I felt called to put a rose in. And I had actually had that down in my notes originally and forgotten. So I went ahead and added that in. And I'm using torch fuel right now. And I still am just not, I mean, it works. It actually works in comparison to the oil, but the flame starts to die out very quickly. And it's just this tiny little flame. I don't know what I am doing wrong. The only thing that I can find on the internet is that the burning point for the oil is too high, and that's why the wick won't stay lit. But I highly doubt that when we're talking about torch fuel. So I don't know. It is actually still lit, even though you can't tell. I just blew it out. So this is my third day working on this little lamp and trying to figure it out with no real success. It does work much better than it did, but it's still not working well. And I have literally seen someone use one of these vessels and make it work beautifully. I have seen people use vegetable oil and make it work beautifully. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. I've seen people use kitchen twine and candle wick, and I don't understand what it is that I am particularly doing wrong. If you have any advice or any ideas, drop them in the comments section if you would. But yeah, I'm just gonna guess I'm gonna keep continuing trying to get this worked out and make it work somehow. I don't know. It's driving me a bit out of my mind, if I'm honest. As of right now, my lantern is a fail, and I guess I'm just gonna have to start my practice without it. I will go ahead and show you what the setup will look like, and I am going to include the lamp even if I can't light it and use it in that way. It still has the same energy and intention whether it's actually lit or not. So let me show you that. So basically this is it. It's pretty simplistic right now. I have this little TV tray that I use in the studio for all manner of things. You can see paint all over it. It is facing the eastern wall, as that is the appropriate direction to be facing during my practice. I've got my brick, if you will, my tile, and here's my scrying bowl, which of course will have water in it. There's my little oil lamp. Here is my intuition oil, which will drop some of that into the water, and that little bottle there is my lotus tincture, which I will take before doing divination, before doing the scrying. Also, up here in the back, you see that red thing behind Osset. That is known as an Isis knot, and it is a symbol of protection, and I will probably either wear that or have it down on the surface while I do my work. But yeah, essentially, that's the gist of it. My stupid lamp was a bit of a fail, but I'm not going to count it as a whole fail because I'll continue to work on it. And like I said, even if it never works, the intention is still there. So I'm okay with it. I'm not thrilled about it, but it could be worse. All right, guys, like I said, if you have any advice, drop it in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And until next time, much love and gratitude.